Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel. Today, cryptocurrencies in a negative area. There was a bit of pump towards the upside, but it just got stagnated in that area, now consolidating within that range. Today, we'll cover the news articles related to our crypto updates, the fundamentals, and then we will also discuss about some of the interesting Twitter posts. This is also informative because it's not only directly related to the cryptocurrency market but to the overall financial industry. So we'll discuss through them, and then we will do chart analysis of our favorite cryptocurrencies like XRP, Btc, Ether, Litecoin, EOS, and others. So first, we'll look at Twitter. This is actually from Bob Rass, showing that Sologenic transaction handler is so fast. So it's actually showing transactions are confirmed in less than 15 seconds on XRP network. Now, this is a real utility, a real use case. The next one is from Jack the Rippler, showing that Deutsche Bank will use XRP. Now, this is a post from him which he received from one of his follower, in which it is showing the comparison, see if they are using the Swift network or Ripple network or other blockchain ledgers for transactions, say international payments. Now they are actually using cross-border payments as a use case here and showcasing if a payer is being starting the price from here and he gets it to the receiver, it will have to pass through all these things if it is in the current system. Now, use of crypto technology is Nostro accounts like Swift POC can be eliminated. So, there is a potential use case being developed. Now it is showing the blockchain universe. Say centralized ledger, it looks something like this. Private blockchain, it looks something like this. The authority is like this. If a center is here, he can receive it here. There will be a bank, there will be an exchange, there will be a financial provider. So now this is public blockchain ledger. So as you can see, even the traditional financial institutions are looking into the crypto world. Now that's more of interest. Now this one is showing that American Express is gonna have a reward system which you can use it to redeem your rewards into cryptocurrencies. Now this is a patent filed by them, a reward point redemption for cryptocurrency. So within this, if you can see that a system and method for the redemption of reward points for cryptocurrency is disclosed. The system may allow transaction account holders to redeem earned reward points for a selected cryptocurrency. So now, as we all know, Bank of America is already working with the company XRP, with the company Ripple. So XRP may be a potential digital asset in there. So this is from JT Marlin XRP Financial, showing that he's waiting for XRP to be redeemed in that. Now this is from XRP Joker, showing that 25,000 plus jobs got announced this week, as well as Deutsche's 18,000 few weeks ago. And that's only in Europe, and it's just getting started, right? If you look at economies in other emerging markets like India, you can see the same. The predicted GDP is actually going down. Say, for example, India was running really fast, say 7-8%. Now it's down to 4.5%. So as you can see, the auto market is actually feeling the heat. Audi plans 9,500 job cuts. So they, in the traditional market, is going into a recession. And recently we shared a tweet in yesterday's video about Indian financial minister stating that there is no recession and there will not be a recession. So and in yesterday's video we just discussed about, while discussing about that, I just told you something is gonna come soon, right? When the politicians who don't know anything about the market, so just ignores the market, state something like that to push the the sheeps into the market and take their money outside, something like that really happens. Now this is from the Bearable Bull, showing the volume on XRP ledger. So you can see it's skyrocketing and was on 29th. So the use case is actually really pumping up. Maybe it's the effect of MoneyGram, they are pumping in more volume, or there are other banks or someone testing the network. Because if it is banks testing, the volume will be too huge, right? Even the test for them will be huge. And otherwise, if we are looking at MoneyGram, yeah, they already confirmed that they will be putting in millions through this network. Now there's an article showing XRP heading towards 0 or 60. Like previously, an analyst was showcasing that XRP is gonna go to 0 based on his regression analysis. Now, after getting a lot of comments and heat from XRP community, he actually came back. It's just like mocking the community, stating, "Here, I fixed it. XRP is gonna go to 60 by 2030." Now, he's actually confirmed that here, but like say it's not actually going to 0 in that particular sense, but say I use XRP to illustrate how price predictions based on statistical modeling are heavily dependent on starting point. No, XRP could not go down to 0 by next February. So he just corrected himself after getting the heat from XRP community. Now this is related to what we talked just previously, and that works out on an average sustained rate of 55 TPS for 24 hours. Now that is pretty cool because 55 transactions per second is really huge compared to other cryptocurrencies like BTC, Ether and all. Now yeah, Ether is coming up with a new update, and Vitalik is stating that they will scale it up to 3,000 or more. But for XRP, considering the offline transaction, they can actually do that 50,000, similar or more than that of Visa. And this is bad news actually, showing Russian central bank Merl's new ban on Bitcoin and crypto. Now, if they are going to do that, that's actually a bad plan, because the banks were actually high on crypto. So he actually went through a tweet in which I gained an information that some of the banks from Russia itself is stating that Swift came up with Swift GPI because of Ripple, because there is a competition, because there is a disruptor. So that's actually much needed thing. And if Central Bank of Russia is coming up with a ban on digital assets for payments, that will be bad news for the banks, because as they say, we continue to believe that cryptocurrencies carry significant risks, including in the field of laundering of proceeds from crime, financing of terrorism, as well as in conducting exchange transactions due to sharp exchange rate fluctuation. Now, these are actually foolish statements in my opinion. They're considering volatility based on the sharp fluctuations. I still think these guys still need to get a lot of education from Brad Garlinghouse or from his team about volatility. He states that repeatedly, volatility is fluctuation multiplied by the time, right? So when they're using the shit fiat currencies, say anything from any country, and doing a transaction for 3 days, it's more than that, right? The volatility is more than that. Now this one is from an analyst showing that crypto can actually move pretty high, and but in a positive stance, if we look at that, it's a buying opportunity. As he states, it's gonna go down to 1,000. I think BTC is going to 1,000 range. It will probably take a while to get there, but based on everything I see right now, I think that is most likely target. So that's his target personally. I'm long on BTC, and I don't think it's going to 1,000, because we had a bottom around 3,000, we went back around 14,000. So I think it can correct, but I think the bottom is already in. Now this is another one showing that another analyst showing Bitcoin to surge to 400k. So you see the difference in opinion. So that's what happened when you get news from different providers with different perspective, right? So now my perspective is what I'm stating in my chart analysis. Now these are from them. So this particular guy believes that it's gonna go up to $400,000. Now we'll actually look at XRP on a 4-hour chart. As we can see that it's forming a new pattern here. So it's a rising wedge, and the chances are mostly it's gonna come breaking down. The price can come down. That's having more probability here. So if the price comes down, I think it can retest the previous low, say 0.2 area, before a bounce up high. But if it doesn't manage to bounce from that area, that will be a risky scenario for XRP holders. Yes, we are holders, we will be waiting for a couple of years, so even more than that, say some will be ready to wait for 5 or 10 years. But if you look at the price on a daily basis, that will actually make you a bit stressed, because at least in my perspective I see it that way. So in a 4-hour chart, as we see the pattern, and if we move into an hourly chart to look what is happening in a shorter time frame, we can see that the price is a bit above the moving average, but right now it's coming below that, it's pushing below that. So now there is a breakdown. So if the price don't actually go down like this, it comes back up, that's a fake out. But if it just retest this area and go back down, then we can actually check back around. The support can be around 0.2 mostly. So looking at a daily chart, zooming a bit out, we can see that in a longer time frame we are still in a bearish trend. So I'm zooming this as much as possible and I'll show you what I'm talking about. See, this particular item, I'll remove that from there. That's the rounded border which I put in for the time being. Say here, as you can see, the long-term support was this green line here. The price went below that, retested that area, and then again went below that. And from that time, we are getting a support in this particular line, which was previously a resistance, now turned into a support. But the problem with this is, even when we move ahead in time with time, we are getting lower lows. So if it happens to go within this trading range, we can expect that the price go up to 0.27 and then visit back around 0.17. Now that's the case if the price don't manage to break above this particular trend line. So in the long term view, if the price has to come back into the bullish sentiment, it should come above 0.4 to get back into this trading zone. Now we'll actually look at BTC chart in USD, and then we'll actually compare both XRP to BTC and XRP to USD as we just talked. Now this is a BTC on daily chart, and as we told in our last video, we got a bounce from our support, and now we are still trading within that trading range. So unless we come out of this trading range, you should be expecting a bounce at the top or at the bottom. See, if it's at the support, it's gonna go up, or if it's a resistance, it should actually go down. So in a 4-hour chart, you can see that the price is actually coming below the 20-day moving average, moving towards the 50-day moving average. So if it doesn't get a support there, that's a bearish scenario. Now while looking at back in a daily chart, we can see this thing, the MACD is still not crossed and it is looking to cross. So as we can see, even during the previous time when the MACD cross, if you're holding for a couple of times, you reach the top of that pattern, right? So here you are getting the same. The RSI is above the oversold position, so you can actually expect the price to move within this trading range. So the target area should be here. Now we'll actually look at Ethereum in USD. Prior to that, we'll actually check it XRP in BTC, XRP BTC, and in a longer time frame, say in daily chart, what you can see that is the price is actually making a bottom. If you try to connect it something like this, the support is not actually appropriate. The way I drawn, it may have a bit of change, but as you can see that the price here compared to that in USD is moving in a different direction, right? So here it's actually coming to the downside, and at the same time the MACD has crossed once to the upside, then came back down below. Now it's still gonna get an upside cross. Right now the 20, 50 and 200-day moving average, and if you consider 100 or 150-day moving average, so they are above the price, which makes it a resistance at that particular area. But if we look back on a 4-hour chart to see what is happening at this particular moment. You can go to an hourly chart or 30 minutes, it's up to you, but I prefer 4-hour. Now in that we can see support being formed in this particular area, right? Now the upside target of this area can be drawn connecting these previous touches. So based on this, it should actually move up to 3,243 or 3,200, about 3,200 as a target. Now we talked about the same for BTC. It's trading within that range. Until it comes out of that range, we should think about the range. Now we'll actually look at Ethereum in USD, and we can see that there was a fake out which tried to move below 130, 133, and then it came back above that. Now as we can see, the resistance is still intact. The price didn't actually manage to go above that, so the previous support area is currently acting as a resistance for Ethereum. Now if it makes another higher low here and bounce up, that's actually a positive scenario, because if you connect these with this resistance line, you can see that the price is actually moving up high, and if it does touch here again, I think there is a more probability that the price will go up. So if you are a short-term trader looking to buy in, you should be looking at a breakout or a retest prior to entering into your long position. That's on a short time frame, right? Because your potential target will be this area around 194, but that's only if you are trading in a shorter time frame. If you are an investor who's looking into this as a class for a long term, then it's actually okay for you to buy even at these prices, right? And if you have Ethereum at higher price points and you are looking to lower your average, then you can still buy, right? But if your average is actually below this, then yes, you don't have to do that again. Now in order to get the continuation of this pattern, the price should come back in and test this area. Unless it breaks to the upside, it still remains a bearish scenario, because yes, we went from 80 to 350, 360, then we corrected back to 130. That's around 50-60% drop. That should be actually an accumulating area if you are doing that again. So say this is the first accumulating area. Now it went up above that consolidating area. It made a retest in that area, giving a chance for reaccumulation. Now I believe that's actually happening, and if the price is getting a bit of volume here, I think it may move to the upside, because we talked yesterday that the MACD is getting closer and closer to cross the upside like this. You can see there was multiple try and then it didn't, but the difference there and here should be that it was at the top of an uptrend here, considering this where it was at the bottom. So see, it's coming down to the downside, and if you're getting that should be a change in trend. Now here the price is actually moving, say, within this range, having this 155 as a support area, but in the MACD we can see at the same time it is actually forming a different trend line. Now you can connect this either this way or extend it, but the idea is that the price is actually moving to the upside within an average like this. So it's having a positive momentum considering the price. Now again, looking back at the cryptocurrency market, we can say that the last 24 hours, most of them are still in red, in the negative territory. So we'll come up with XRP related, BTC related, all the cryptocurrency related updates in our next video. By then, I'll say bye.